Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Needed Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, 1agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings, live and direct. Hope y'all are doing all right tonight.
I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
Indeed, and you can find his here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You got us funds on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. Before we do anything with the show, we want to pay respects, give condolences for I would argue, a death in the family of sorts, because
Yes.
our comrade, friend of the show, who actually has been on the show a few different times, William Bruce West, has recently passed, and condolences to the family and all of that. It honestly was a shock and a blow to a bunch of people around him, including us. So,
Yes,
but,
because we are part of a community, right, of podcasters. I mean, forget the greater community, the worldwide community, but this particular corner of the internet where we've, tried to build something, Will West was a big part of, right? He was a big part of several of the podcasts that were connected to us. We were big fans of his West Week the West Week podcast. I'm sorry, the website that he did, the weekly website that he did, the blog that he published, the West Week Weekly, I think it was called.
West Week Ever.
West Week Ever. That's right, the West Week Ever. And it was a real shock to the system. And this is still very fresh to us. He passed away a little bit less than a week ago. He had suffered a serious health setback, and unfortunately passed away relatively soon after. And he's going to be missed. He's going to be the well wishes are still kind of pouring in, from all corners of the internet and the world. So our condolences to the family, friends, and loved ones of William Bruce West.
Absolutely. So, no real easy way to transition
Sure.
past that, but we are just going to get into the shows of the week, starting off with Monarch, Legacy of Monsters Season 2, Episode 7, which is called String Theory.
String theory, you would think that string theory kind of brings to mind some higher scientific concepts, and that's one of the things that's explored in this episode. That's kind of a higher scientific concept, is a little bit of timey-wimey time travel, a little bit of time dilation, a little bit of time working differently in one space or reality than in another. And we kind of get some cool effects of that. The first effect being that the Russell boys, Wyatt Russell and his dad Kurt Russell, getting to kind of act together right? They're acting, kind of across from each other. They're on the other sides of radios, respectively, and at least that gives them a chance to interact
Mhm.
during the show. Because of the whole timey-wimey time dilation, you know, nonsense stuff, right? Um, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, but to me, my personal highlight of this episode was Keiko Randa and Cate Randa teaming up, right? To run their own duo and partnership mission. And what I told Roddykat, and I'll hand this off at this point by saying that I wasn't 100% sure of what was going on because I was too distracted watching these two on the screen together at the same time by themselves. Like those two alone on a mission together. Minus all the other people in this show. There are a lot of people in this ensemble cast. There really
Right.
are. But you put Keiko Randa and Cate Randa together, you've got me glued to the screen. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat with that.
Oh boy. I mean, he's not. I mean, I
He's
slightly
not
agree.
wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
that's
not
it.
wrong. He's absolutely not wrong. So as we have talked before the show, I'm like, I can't be mad at it because I was, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was totally distracted, but definitely was glued to the set to the show at that point. And yeah, so pretty much everybody the group has been split up doing their things. As Agent 70 said, Cate and his very young looking grandmother. um you know uh Teaming up together doing their thing. And the thing I was going to actually get to outside of that was, it's kind of funny when shows do time stuff, because it could go many ways. Like, okay, is it going to be a danger for them to be in the same place? Are they going to be in the same place? Will whatever they do end up changing the future? They played with a little bit of that last part during the course of this show, but they also took, you know they also committed the same uh transgression of, if there is one, that other shows that do that in, is that, so whether the young older person going to remember that what they helped the younger person did or not, or something similar to that. Like, do they remember that happening before this happened,
Mhm.
or or was this already there? Because they kind of play, they in a way they kind of let it be out there just a little bit, because they don't really address that part of it, and it's only for
Right.
people like that and think about that kind of stuff, like me, to actually think about it. But it's like I said, it's always funny when there's a time situation going on. It's like, well, just so many questions could very well be the case. And of course, what comes of it was like, oh no, this is boop, because of that. Now all of a sudden, hey, this other thing is going on,
Right.
bewildering other people that are that are figuring out what's happening, or that are dealing with what's happening. So, but it just so happens to be the ends to a mean. Uh, but yeah, that being said, like I said, you got Elder Shaw, older Shaw, kind of doing the thing with the younger Shaw. You got the Randa ladies doing their thing. You have Kentaro off on his own, with the new character. Her name is Isabel. I still want to call her Amber Mid Thunder because that's her name, but her
Right.
character name is Isabel. So there's a thing going on with that I guess we'll see a little bit more on next episode. And you know, and there's a little part with May, and Tim, that on one part. So like I said, moving a whole lot of moving parts separately, but I presumably by the end of the season, which is only a couple of episodes left, is going to come back together for something, or for whatever reason, or for whatever thing. And that reason is probably going to end up being the big G,
Probably.
as the
Probably
way it's
because
looking.
Right, because you always have to remember, what the time period is that we're dealing with here. This is post G-Day, but before, I want to say, I think, before, definitely before Godzilla versus Kong,
Yes. Seems
right?
that way, yeah. Hmm.
What's funny is that Godzilla versus Kong, like I watched. What's funny is that these movies are now, the legendary monster movies are now on TNT and TBS.
Hmm.
And I happened to catch the Godzilla versus Kong movie on a regular, like I'm archaic, folks, on regular cable, and I watched a few minutes of it, and I remembered that the big bad is this character, Amber Mid-Thunder's father. I think.
I believe that's right.
Right. So I
He's.
think that's the connection,
Hmm.
right? That you have to be kind of reminded of. That the distant father that she's complaining about in this show, in these last two episodes since she's come around, is that character that plays an antagonist role in uh, Godzilla versus Kong.
Hmm. Which actually reminds me of something that I totally forgot to put in the show notes that I'm going to have to put in the next few minutes. Um, on that note, or on a similar note, but that's okay. We'll get to that. That being the case, though, we're probably going to move on because there's not really much else to say about this. Like, the new episodes are going to happen the day after we
Yeah,
record, so we will definitely be getting on that.
exactly. We'll get to see if they team up Kate Randa and Keiko Randa some more.
Well, I feel like they're that's kind of been the team up at this point, like
Right.
for what they're
That's a
doing,
great
and I think
formula. They should keep doing that.
because last episode they were like, yeah, just go ahead and everybody's breaking off and put them two together, so they got the screen time together, and now they had this one. So I suspect that's at the very least they're probably going to keep up for the next episode. I don't know about the one after that one, um, but part of this next one is probably going to be the case, and then they'll put everybody back together in some way, shape, or form. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm sure people have clipped that one. Some folks have clipped the one scene for
Hmm.
posterity or other reasons, but we don't necessarily need to go into those reasons either. But yeah, I'm sure people are getting used. I don't know. You know what? Let me shut up. Next up, though, we are going to talk about Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, episodes 3 and 4.
All righty. Star Wars Maul Shadow
Oops.
Lord episode 3 and 4. Episode 3 is titled Whispers in the Unknown,
Hmm.
and episode 4 is titled Pride and Vengeance.
And I almost called it
Uh
Pride and Prejudice.
so um you know, I'm having a little trouble remembering some of the story beats in this, but what I can tell you is that, and Roddykat will do I think a little bit more in filling in some of the story beats here. What I can tell you is that Devon eventually gets reunited with her master Daki, right? The cop, right? The lawman Lawson, you gotta love the name, finally figures out that holding up the bridge somehow makes someone have a certain status, right? But he only realizes it when he gets to see laser swords. I mean, come on, seriously. So I think that it's still a strong show. We're starting to see what Lawson is getting at, as a character. He's kind of our point of view character. He's not a fan of the Empire, and he's trying to get two licking boots. I mean, uh, or two boots licking the droid that is his partner to not do something. And what does he do? He does it anyway.
He's just following his program. Actually,
I get,
I can't even. There's no excuse for what he did.
I guess, I
There's
guess
no
you may want to
excuse.
check. I was gonna say you may want to check the camera setting for that's going out to Twitch and YouTube
Why? Oh,
because
if it went black for a second, don't worry about that because that was yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
don't worry about
not. We're back.
Yeah,
We're
no, don't
back.
worry about that. That happens when I have to. Unfortunately, I don't have another screen to uh put a view on. So
It's all good. It's one of the it's one of the reasons why we've updated so that I'm constantly looking at the YouTube feed. So
yeah, pay no attention to the loss of the pictures
cool.
for the moment. But yeah, so yes, first episode dealt with basically Maul playing with his food, or excuse me, his wannabe, or the person that he wanted to be his new apprentice, that being Devin. So the most of the episode was that, and also, uh, the other stuff of trying to amass more power. You know, as I say, getting up to the point of Solo that we see him in, with the syndicates and whatnot. And matter of fact, both episodes are pretty much that, because in episode 4, that is, when at the very least one part of that plan comes to fruition, and that is when as Age 70 just said, when Devin escapes and reunites with her master. You know, they they try to continue to be helpful in the way that Jedi's do, and that didn't quite work out as it wasn't supposed to. So so we still gotta, which is probably going to make things worse at the long. Well, which we know is going to make things worse at the long run, thanks to something a character did, that none of the other characters wanted. But so that the only one who slightly wanted to do it is the one who don't really realize what would be at stake if the larger power comes into play here. Well, they're all gonna find out next. Well, he's gonna find out next episode. Put it that way. And that's pretty much those 2 episodes. There's really not much else to say about it that won't give something away. So we're going to go merrily into the next show that we're going to talk about, which is Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 5, called The Grand Design, of which does get mentioned a couple of times during the course of the episode.
Yes, there's a lot to this episode. It's a very good episode. There's a lot of plot threads that get picked up on in this episode. There's a lot. There really is. With the ending of the previous episode fresh in everyone's mind, it's right at the beginning of this episode. It's a very strict carryover where we're starting to see the next steps of what happens with the attack on Vanessa, and or the effects on Vanessa. And we get some flashbacks here that help to I guess tell a particular story that is on request at the end of the episode. The story of how Vanessa and Wilson Fisk met in the past. And on top of that, we also get a story of how Matt Murdock kind of finds a way to teach himself about grace and second chances, right? And remember, Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, is interacting with Bullseye at the end of the last episode, and their adventure together continues throughout this episode. I'm going to not spoil everything, but I'm going to hand it off to Roddykat for his take on some of the parts of this really standout episode of Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, it is definitely an effective episode for sure. So yeah, there's definitely the flashback parts, as tends to happen in situations just much like Legacy or Monarch Legacy of Monster, kind of tie together stuff that's in the current in a couple of different ways. Like Agent 70 said, you get a couple of stories of things happening with characters, like how they met and how the one characters got together with, you know, tying it back to stuff that happened that we are led to be believed that happened before the Netflix Daredevil show, which includes a couple of characters, I will say that much, that are from that era of the show that are not in this show. I think that's safe enough to say.
Mm.
So, and links to, and it all links together with apparently one, at least, not surprisingly, links together with another character, which honestly was a question I had early on about a character and where did they come from. And we started to see in the seeds of that in this episode. It's like, okay, now that kind of makes sense if you just, infer 1, 2, or 3. So
yeah, I was about to say Buck Cashman doing his best Winter Soldier impression.
Basically, yes. Basically, so it's definitely a great episode to watch of the show. It's like, all right, yeah, and even like you kind of got to give props to Vincent D'Onofrio, because if people who are well aware of his acting style can kind of like if he gets into it, he's like into it, and he's can be very emotive, and into it, for the role if the role needs it, exactly. And this episode is no different from that. It's like, oh man, just dude's going through it, which I'm sure the character, if the character was going through it for any reason, it would be for the reasons that were presented in at the end of last episode and going all through this one. So some would say relatable, if you've ever felt same thing. But like, going into the end of the episode, it's like, huh. And Agent 70 and I were kind of talking about it before the show, like, well, is a thing going to happen that they very well could have not had this episode set up, or is it just or is it a ruse? Is it a swerve, or is it not even necessarily a swerve? It's just like, hey, we're making you believe that this is the case, but it's not actually going to be the case as we see next episode. We'll find out then whether that's the case.
We will find out in the next episode whether or not something actually sticks that happens towards the end of this episode.
Right. And part of me kind of, going back to that question, actually, part of me kind of makes me want to believe yes, but I don't actually believe that. And I only say that is because the character the person who the actress in question was on the podcast, the podcast, the official podcast, excuse me, recently. Sometimes you could take that for being, I did not see the show, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they said anything one way, shape, or form about what happens. But sometimes that could be like, well, you know what, since this is the case, we talk about it here. Let that be that, But again, there's no reason to believe one way or the other, and I haven't, like I said, I have not even watched not one iota of that podcast, so it is what it is. That being said, I think we're donezo with this, so we're going to move into the next show that we have, which is Invincible. Boy, I wish I had the screen thing, the Invincible screen thing that happened right then and there. And I'm not gonna edit the video to do that either. But Invincible season 4, episode 7, called "Don't Do Anything Rash."
Right. So what they do in this episode is do something a little rash, and and ultimately, it turns out in a weird way to be not so good, because there is a plan, a follow-up plan to the original plan that gets enacted, that gets exacted in this episode, and it does not go the way they thought it would. Right? The good guys, the quote-unquote good guys, the people that were the protagonists that we're following, think that they can end the war against the Viltrumites, but things don't go exactly how they plan. And once they realize at the end, after they've had a chance to recover and quite literally lick their wounds, the episode ends with the realization that the tables may have been turned on them. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat for more.
And that the threat is still out there.
Yes.
Yeah, which is funny. Agent 7 says something about licking the wounds because there is absolutely one character that specifically says something to that effect. Which is funny because the person that plays that character also plays a similar character who would also say something similar to that. Probably not as graphic, but just as much in a former role of his, of which folks know of quite well. But that being said, so this is something I said before the show to Age of 70, and I guess as far as I know, it still holds true, and definitely holds true for me. But as people who have not watched or who has not read the books, watching the show and seeing certain events play out that may or may not happen to be in the show, most of it because I know they're playing very close to the comics within certain reasons. Seeing some things happen is still kind of jarring, but also as a soul to Agent 70, it's like, you know what? Watching this show is pretty much an exercise in one, patience, and also kind of tense because one, it's Kirkman property. Two, hey, pretty much somebody's probably going to potentially get it by the end of the show. Whether that happens or not, hey, if you watch the show, you know whether it was bad. Also, comes to mind why, when certain things happen to certain characters, it can be fixed. And because this is something I actually just thought about earlier, why is the same thing happen to two different characters, but one of them can get fixed and another cannot or did not? So, and I believe from at least one standpoint is something from the comics, but at the same time, it still doesn't make any sense. And again, I'm not going to spoil what happens in the show. If you've seen it, then you know. But the one other thing I wanted to, maybe we'll get it next episode. I don't know, but I am very much hoping that we get another flashback scene because we did get some flashback to before the Scourge happens on Viltrum, but we get some stuff on that front and found out that, you know what, another character probably is involved in more deaths than the Scourge, as many deaths as the Scourge did, as we come to find out in this issue, in this episode. But also, we also come to find out that we may not have had an actual Optimus Prime versus Megatron battle back then. Yeah. That I would love to see play out, because as we found out, as folks may know of some of the voice actors that are in this, and one that we get in this episode specifically that plays a certain role.
Right. We're still getting great acting from the cast. It's obviously a very surprising, just to continue that point, there's a surprisingly robust cast that's assembled to play even bit parts in this show. I mean, Lieutenant Commander Worf reporting for duty. And,
actually, that reminds me of something real quick. Hold that thought, because some from last issue that I don't think showed up this last episode that didn't show up in this one. Come to find out that the AI for Tech Jacket's suit, LeVar Burton. Because I saw that then, but I totally forgot about it when we talked about it last week. But I was like, because when, if you're watching, well, obviously you watch it on Amazon, but if you are watching on Amazon and you pause it, you can see the names of people in the scene.
The X-ray, right? The X-ray vision.
Exactly. I think they call it something else now, but yes, that's exactly it.
Right.
So you can see the names of who's talking in the scene, and I was like, and every time a new voice comes in, I stop it and pop that up, and of course that's how I, the reference I just mentioned, and also the one previously just mentioned. Kind of find out who are voicing things here. I'm like, nice.
Exactly. No, that's a good call. I think I'm gonna have to do that when I watch the next episode. Hopefully
Yeah, sometimes it's a treat. It's very much a treat.
Right. Right. Hopefully there is another instance where her AI speaks.
Yeah. Yeah. So we shall see. That being said, though, yeah, Invincible's still as visceral as it ever is.
Oh my goodness, that's a good point. That'll lead us right into The Boys if you're done
Mhm.
with Invincible.
Absolutely,
So
because they're cut from the same cloth or a similar cloth.
the Amazon, right? The Amazon cloth.
hmm
The
And yeah,
Amazon.
since you already said it, yeah, we'll just go ahead and get into The Boys season 5, episode 3, which is every one of you sons of bitches.
Yes, right. So, oh my goodness. So as we were just mentioning, these Amazon shows are definitely, most certainly, cut from the same cloth because, as I've said earlier in past episodes, you can almost hear the song "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor" during certain sequences. There's just a lot of gross out. There's a lot of body horror. There's a lot of death and sometimes destruction, but mainly death. In during the course of these stories, a lot of them are in combat. Some of them are kind of not, but you'll see lots of people dying, super people dying, normal people dying, and that's a lot of that stuff is happening in this episode of The Boys, where secrets are revealed. You can start to see the wheels turn in terms of gearing up and leading up to what's probably going to be a pretty uh intense finale season, right? You can definitely see that is being built up to. What I was telling Roddykat before, in our pre-production meeting, is that this season of The Boys, and The Boys, in particular, obviously, has a lot of allegorical content, right? It definitely echoes a lot of what is happening in the real world right now. And when I say right now, I really mean right now, because there are some there are definitely some really eerie coincidences. Obviously, Roddykat's point would be that because it's based in real life, you just have to kind of think that the writers took a wild guess, and that wild guess decided to come true because that's the timeline that we're living in. And it just so happened that there was a particular plot point that happened in this episode that was very salient, happened just the other day in the real world, the same week that this episode aired. So it's very creepy. That's probably the best way that I can put that. It's just creepy, it's scary, it's frightening that this satire is a little bit too realistic when it comes to the reality that it's supposed to be satirizing. And I'll leave it at that. We can move on.
All right. Yeah, like I said, it's wild out here. It's wild out here, and it's wild out here in the show space, apparently.
Yes.
That being the case,
Oh, by the
though.
way,
Oh,
hold on real quick.
No, go ahead.
The show begins pretty much right where the previous show left off, and what we find out is that there was a death fake out. So that's kind of why I have death fake out on the brain when I was watching Daredevil this week.
Okay, man, that's fair. Fair point. Fair point. Gotcha. That being the case, we are going to go into the books of the week, starting off with shoot.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe number 21, the silent issue.
I was about to say, in honor of it being the most recent silent issue of all these GI Joe books that are coming out,
The other
under
one,
the Image, right? Exactly, under the Image. No, but in terms of all of these, I think what is it, Silent Month for the GI Joe books?
Yes, for the Oprah stuff, yes, but also
right.
in
But
this one issue, specifically. But go for it.
Right, this issue almost ties into that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this issue is technically written by Joshua Williamson. I say that tongue in cheek. I say it tongue in cheek.
I mean, there's some writing in there.
Right. There's some writing in there, right? art on this issue is by Tom Riley. Colors are by Lee Luffridge, and letters are by Russ Wooton. So yeah, I just was scrolling past Roddykat's notes, and yeah, it is an homage to the original Sssilent interlude issue. And what's clearly reflected as an homage is that there are a lot of ninja things going on, right? Lots of ninja action in this issue. We get a lot of ninja action in the original Sssilent interlude. Remember that first Sssilent interlude issue was the first appearance of Storm Shadow in the comics. So in this issue, I don't know if there is a first appearance of anyone yet that I could identify, because I was looking for Snake Eyes.
Let's just say, let's put it this way. Yes, I believe yes, we have absolutely seen a version of that character in this issue.
Okay,
I believe.
Right. Do you think it's the female version?
I do.
Gotcha. That's I had a suspicion, and Roddykat and I, just now conferred. Right, we literally just now conferred. So I guess that's the direction they're going in.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, and I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his thoughts on this. It was a very effective issue. I had been wondering when they were going to bring Scarlet back into the action, kind of tie that whole corner of the G.I. Joe universe back into the main story, as it were, and now we have that answered. So with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Age of 76 pretty much said the majority of it, and so for folks that may or may not be wondering, yes, this is not the first issue that we have seen Storm Shadow in, because he played fairly prominently in the Scarlet miniseries. So if you haven't checked that out, do so. It's actually a pretty good read. Kelly Thompson kind of did the thing, and crew. Excuse me, no, we're not slashing the art here. But yeah, for this homage issue, very timely in both respects, because one, it's the 21st issue, and also with the other Sssilent mission issues that are going on this month, one of which will be talked about in a few minutes. It's pretty good. I would actually call this a potential Kliq of the week, because
yes,
Joker's kind of went in for a reason to do a thing, and the person that they went for wasn't trying to come out without somebody else. And, things in this issue happen to kind of change things up a little bit in a way that I want to say, I can't remember if something similar happened in the original Sssilent issue. Or at least a one part of it, I should say, where some folks come in and wreck shop. But the only other thing I'm just going to say in passing is at the end of my notes, where there's a outside of the scene, we may have seen the person that people are expecting. They might not like this version of it, but hey, whatever, you'll be fine. But there's a note at the end of the issue that said, well, not even a note, but it was some text at the end of the issue that was coming from the mission briefing that said, "Ramifications unknown at this time." And I'm pretty certain if you've read this issue, you can gather what the ramifications are going to be going forward for certain characters in this book. In fact, I feel like part of me kind of wants to go back and read, we've said this before, going to go back and read the original Real American Heroes series, to the point to where this happened and surrounding things, because I feel like a certain event did happen in that book, I believe. I'm not entirely sure of that. But it would also wouldn't make sense in certain respects. But I feel like at a certain point in the book, something like this something happened. Regardless, yeah, the ramifications of this issue are definitely going to come up again fairly soon, because to paraphrase DMX, some folks done started something. And I don't think that's going to be the end of it. Pretty certain. But yeah, potential click of the week for me. Like I said, we are going to get into.
Yeah, same. I agree. One quick note.
Go ahead.
I wanted to mention that uh, there is one thing that caught my eye, and Roddykat, having been on this book a little sooner and having read some of the previous limited series, it might be able to inform me on this or answer this particular question.
Okay.
So there is a particular design for a larger aircraft, like a cargo style aircraft, that
Mm,
was not originally a VTOL, like a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft in like the cartoons, but it definitely had, it looked more like a C-130, Hercules cargo plane, but it has a kind of a cartoonish um, uh, cobra mouth and front
yes.
loading door. Has that appeared in the comics before? Because that is most certainly a cartoon design.
That is, you are correct in that. And so we have not seen a whole lot of the Cobra vehicles like at
Mhm.
large. So this might be the first time that this has shown up. I can only think of one time that something similar might have shown up, but I don't think so even then, because I think even then might have been like it's just like some rattlers or something. But
Got it. 'Cause that totally caught my eye.
mhm,
It totally caught my eye. I was like, oh, snap. Guess what I saw?
mhm.
Not a fella tongue kissing my girl in the mouth, but a, a clear reference to the animated series.
hmm Yeah, I would have to recheck the one issue that I specifically think of, but I believe this, you might be correct, and this might be the first time we have seen that show up.
I mean, listen, shout out to Tom Riley and maybe even to whatchamacallit, to to Joshua Williamson, that is.
Hmm
For kind of adopting and then adapting that particular design into the comic book realm.
Right.
Five will get you 10. They did that in Real American Hero, and I just don't remember because I never read it. But it's pretty cool that that exists now in the IDW version as well.
Right. I mean, it would fit the brand if they definitely did. Like I definitely don't remember it from Real American Hero, the comic book either. So, but it's also very on brand and probably did happen, like you said. So
Right.
I can say that they have some of the vehicles that they have shown up recently have also had either actual toy and or animated counterparts
Mhm.
to them. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised. That's why I wasn't as surprised about seeing it. I was like, okay, cool, they did that, but I wasn't really surprised about seeing it because it was like, yeah, it's just been going along with how they've been doing things this whole time. So
Right.
because I can't remember those like split apart Cobra vehicles. I think we've even seen like proto versions of those in an issue. We definitely seen like the Dreadnoks Thunder Tank or not Thunder Tank. That's a different brand. Think of the Thunder Machine, whatever it's called. Um, so they've definitely been putting. We haven't seen the Trouble Bubble yet, so that's I'm waiting to see that one. Actually,
I think we
wait, that might
did.
be. Yeah, I'm about to say we might actually have seen the Trouble Bubble. Now that
I
I think
think we
about it.
did. I think we did. I think
Yeah,
we
we
saw the
might
trouble
actually have.
bubble. I think we saw the eel. Was it is it the eel, the flying thing? I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I can't remember some of those
That
things I can't
that
remember, but
glider, right? That Cobra glider thing that they fly, that they can fly on individually.
right. Yeah, I believe we have definitely
It's
have
not a
seen those
glider,
ones.
but it's like jet powered.
Well, actually, wait, no, because I guess in the show they did have they weren't jet powered. Some of them weren't jet powered, but I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah. The two different things because they do have gliders and they do have
Right,
uh
the jet powered ones.
jet powered ones, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I can't remember if we've seen those. We might have seen something similar, something to those effects. But regardless, like I said, vehicles of the like that have been in animated and or toy form have definitely been showing up during this whole time. Just kind of on the sly, on the sneak. Sometimes one of them prominent, like I said, the Dreadnought thing was just like, nah, they like here's a splash page with the Joker in it. So
Right.
they're definitely not shying away from putting that stuff in there. But yeah, it was that being said, it was great to see. It was like, yeah, they got the Cobra carrier in there, which I don't even know the name of it in.
Oh,
So
it was called the Cobra Claw.
the claw. Okay, yeah, I don't
The
remember.
Claw is the jet-powered one. The glider is the Viper glider.
Gotcha. So
Because
yeah,
of course, Google helps you find all the answers without AI.
Yeah, especially if your Google Fu is is on point.
You know?
So that being said, though, yeah, like I said, yeah, great issue. Next up, though, we are going to. I think Agent Sam, if you've got the soundbite for this one, I think you got it covered. When I tell you that the next book that we are going to get into is Gatchaman number 17.
Gatchaman number 17 is published by Mad Cave. And I think I misspoke again. I always say that G.I. Joe is published by IDW. No, it's not. It's published by Image right now.
Well, yeah.
G.I. Joe number 21 is published by Image. Gatchaman number 17 is published by Mad Cave. It's written by Sam Humphries with pencils by Chris Batista. Inks are by Sabrina Cintron. Colors are by Carlos Lopez. And letters are by Buddy Beaudoin. So we're getting into like kind of a funky story here with the Science Ninja team. And we have the Science Ninja team. And, you know, I have to be careful about how fast I say that. The science the Science Ninja team and Galactor are butting heads in this issue over something that seems alien, but it turns out it's not. And you know, these are characters who, are they familiar to us, or is this their first appearance? They're just talking about how they're kind of retconning it, like, yeah, we know them, but we kind of don't. At least not story-wise.
We have seen these characters before.
Oh, we have. Okay, so
Yes.
my memory was failing me. Please, Roddykat, elucidate.
So I can't remember. So the mention that you're talking about, I don't remember if we have seen, but we have definitely seen those characters in this form previously in a few issues ago, because they basically kind of came out of the shadows.
Gotcha.
At the end of the issue, and they have probably have, I think they have popped up like once or twice, or at least one or two of when they've been talking and they have people out in the field. So they have definitely come. They've been here a few issues.
Gotcha.
At least.
Gotcha.
So,
like I said, my memory is failing me. We read a lot of books. Life is lifing as always. So you know what? You know, if we did our research into every book, you know, we would be geniuses and hard at work. But you know, time waits. You know, time just keeps moving. Like we were saying earlier, time keeps on slipping.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the team goes into action because actually, I think it's safe to say that it is alien tech, because they do say it is alien tech. Again, I don't remember if the initial mentioning of these people, you know, where they came in, that was something that we actually saw, or if it was, it might have been something. It might have been like a very early issue if it was, because I don't remember it either. So that would be some research for some other time. But they came back for some reason, and I'm pretty sure we will get a little bit more into them, because now that they're kind of front and center and out there, like I said, it's just right for a, oh yeah, by the way, here's how we got from there to here type situation, because you know that always happens in this, well, most times happen in a situation like this. And so it's only a matter of time, or it might even be the next issues when we find out that particular case. So yeah, this is third party that comes into play. You know, of course, you know, both teams are kind of, before the revelation happens, both teams are trying to get to the alien artifact before the other, and squabbles happen, almost Joe and Cobra like, except for a Joe team is vastly outnumbered. But in this case, you know, it's a Science Ninja team, so they're all right to a point. You know, they could take a few Jokers. Ryu which I am so glad that I'm not calling him Hootie. Folks who may know that name from another version of the show, um, uh, quoting a classic line from a science fiction movie, which I guess says it's in this universe. So there you go. And Galactor being Galactor, and things are happening. Like I said, we'll get more information on this other faction that is coming into play. Probably, I would hope, next issue. But we do see the team being the team, and the one thing I will say about this issue is that before we got the revelation, and when folks were doing what they were doing, trying to get to the where they were trying to get to, part of me was thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if it was the start of a crossover with Voltron? Because before some things got said in the course of this issue, it very well could have been the case, potentially. I'm like, you know what? If you see some lions kind of pop out of a thing, then some giant mecha lions should pop out out of the thing. That'd have been kind of dope. I'm just saying. Like, the two universes are not already connected, but I'm just saying that would have made for a good crossover of two franchises that, as far as we know, were not already connected. That's all I'm saying. Mad Cave, let me know. I got you. Well, I got part of you. I got some stuff going on. We can make this happen. That's all I'm saying. But I'm sure they're already past that. Unless you have something else to say, we can move on to another book, the next book.
No, I'm good.
All right, next book. We don't have a sound effect for this, but I'm pretty sure we have something close to it, and I haven't been showing some of these other covers. But it's okay, because Ancient Spirits of Evil transform this decayed form to Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living, #1 of 5.
The Ever-Living! Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living, #1, published by Dynamite. Dynamite is written by Declan Shalvey with art by Rafa Lebosco. Colors are by Roshan Kurikianil, and letters, I always get the fun names, Kurikianil.
I've
and
gotten that one too, so yeah.
And letters are by Jeff Eckelberry. So in this issue, we start to see the makings of an origin story for Mumm-Ra and some revelations on what Third Earth actually is, right? Where it might be in a timeline relative to First Earth and what First Earth might actually have been, right?
Continuing, but yes.
Right. And ultimately, we are introduced to the OG spirits of evil that start this whole that Mumm-Ra cites to every time he transforms. So I thought that made this issue pretty fun, and I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I mean, there's really not much else to say outside of the fact that they are putting this in with the whole Thundercats Silverhawks crossover. To what extent, we don't yet know, because as Agent 70 said, like, this is basically Mumm-Ra's origin story, which some would argue might, in a way, seem almost like a Lord of the Rings thing in a certain way, which we've made that reference to this character previously also. But in this particular issue also, there are some familiar allusions that could be made with a certain character in that franchise and this one.
Sure. There's definitely some My Precious stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
Precious!
Yep.
Like, literally, and also, what I was getting at with the First Earth business is that the way I read this, it may not have read the same way to you, but the way I read this is that this is our Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and at some point, third Earth originally meant to me as a viewer of the show, right, and a reader of the early Star comics, right, is a third Earth just meant it was a third version of Earth or a third, like a different planet altogether. It wasn't our Earth at some point in the distant future. And I think what's implied in this is that's what this third Earth is. What they mean by third is that it's like the third evolution or the third stage of Earth that they've reached.
Right, correction, and the what's the reason why I say continuing is because they basically that stuff has been seeded in a couple other books in the past. Like I think Thundercats 25 most recently
Okay.
also.
Right. I
So
think
they
so too. It's just
yes.
that I think it was far clearer here, I think.
Yes, like they're kind of piecing it a little bit more together here,
Right.
but the seeds of that of what was said here that it was in the couple of books that have mentioned that in the past is what I was saying at.
Gotcha. So they're just, it's basically the culmination of, like you said, the seeds having been planted, and so they're
Right,
kind of weaving that together
right,
and confirming that that is in fact the case. That when they say third Earth, it's our Earth,
right. But the
just
third
in
iteration of
far
and
right,
the
the third iteration, the third version, at the third stage of its evolution in the, I guess, distant future, or maybe even near future, but at least in the future.
well that yes because there's been also mentions of a fifth and sixth Earth so that are also in the same line. So yes,
Okay.
that's what it read like to me.
All right. So I have a so we're definitely understanding it the same way. So,
Hmm.
I had no idea that that's what they were referring to when they called it Third Earth. Okay.
Right. So
That's
which
enlightening. I had no idea, up
right.
until now. So.
Right, because that's the thing. Like, oh, when we were watching the show, the original animated show, I was like, it's just Third Earth. So I went over just thinking, okay, it's just some other alien Earth. It's not our Earth.
Right.
So there was no real, there was no real backstory to that because there was no real need for it. Also, it wasn't
Mhm.
until well, technically, I think the 2011 show might have done a little bit with that. Well, it's no, probably not. Now I just think about it, because it was still Third Earth, but it was still, like I said, some of the stuff that they've been putting in, like I've showed you previously in the Thundercat, they've kind of weaving some of that stuff in this, and
Sure.
now they're just basically saying, okay, so
Right. So
all of this backstory is
basically,
putting together.
right. So basically, what's going to happen is that Chat GPT and whatchamacallit and Claude are going to become Robert Burbles
Oh
in the future.
Jesus,
So,
I feel like that's probably a best case scenario, but probably not.
yeah, it won't be whatchamacallit. It won't be Skynet, but it'll be they'll be they hopefully will be Robert Burbles.
Right,
So,
we could only hope.
goodness gracious.
But yeah, so that's like I said, that's Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living #1 of 5. Like I said, the only thing that kind of, which is why I mentioned it, the whole Thundercat Silverhawks tie-in, of which they even branded on the covers, it says 2 of 15. So clearly there's going to be some crossover in some sort of way, shape, or form. I'm pretty sure the character of Mumm-Ra is probably going to show up in the midst of all that at some point. But to what reason we have this origin story that's going to lead into that or weave into that, we don't know just yet. So, that being said, we can go to the next issue that we have in common, which is the last book that we actually have in common, and that is no, it's definitely not that one. Imperial Guardians #2.
Imperial Guardians #2, published by Marvel, is written by Dan Abnett, with pencils by Marcelo Ferreira. Inks are by Jay Leaston. Colors are by Rochelle Rosenberg, and letters are by VC's Ariana Marr. So, if you read any of the things that are in that you could call like kind of trade gossip, trade news websites, that the Imperial the things that were coming out of Imperial were kind of cut short in terms of the rollout and the storytelling that they were going to explore. I don't know. I don't remember, that is, I think we've talked about it, like how many issues we're going to get of Imperial Guardians. But what I will say is that of these 2 issues so far, I really liked the characterization that they've given some of the characters in Imperial Guardians. I give Dan Abnett a lot of credit for kind of tweaking how we view some of these characters. Obviously, it sounds like he's got a very soft spot for Darkhawk or Dorkhawk because he is, he's basically the point of view character in this story. But at the same time, we're also getting some fun interactions and some fun character moments with Francis Frank Castle, aka the Space Ghost Rider. Um, and some fun stuff with Carol Danvers. Less fun stuff with Amadeus Cho, but he's still getting some cool stuff in. But yeah, I really like. Can I tell you what happens in this issue? Basically, these Guardians are on a Black Ops mission on behalf of what Maximus is trying to accomplish for the Galactic Council, Galactic Empire, and I'm like, serving the Galactic Empire never ends well, folks. But but ultimately, what I enjoyed about this were the character moments and the character interactions. What about you?
Yeah, especially if it has anything to do with Maximus the Mad, because he's up to no good. Especially coming out of Imperial. But yeah, so if anyone knows how to tell a Guardians-like story, it would be Dan Abnett, who was part of the team, creative team that basically brought the Guardians, who are basically the Guardians of the Galaxy that folks might know from the movies. Basically, brought them into prominence back in the
right,
90s.
What I was gonna say is the version of the Guardians that became popular and then became adapted.
Right.
Because I know Roddykat is a fan of the first version of the Guardians, care of Jim Valentino.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the OG Guardians, as they're called, the Guardians 2000, whatever. Anyway, but yeah. So that being said, you can kind of see some of that. I was gonna say some of that DNA, but that's a different. That's an artist. But you can kind of see some of that, and I think Abnett's kind of having some some fun with these characters as he would. And yeah, as they just haven't said, that whole thing with Darkhawk, I don't know, he's annoying to me, but I can't remember him being that annoying when he had his own book.
Right.
But I think that's probably in service of maybe they're gonna do something with the character, kind of give him some balls or something. I don't know. But at this point, just I'm having fun with the other characters having fun at his expense, and him whining about it. It's like, all right, stop it. Just he's not quite pariah levels, but he's he's like, all right, he's just being all
well. Thankfully,
mopey.
he's not crying every other panel.
No, but he is definitely whining to a certain extent, because it's like, well, dude, y'all are picking on me and this, that, other, and that, and I know I'm not this and not that. I'm like, chill, dude, calm, dude, get over your damn self. But again, I sure this is in service of getting him somewhere, and if it's not, man, that would be a waste. But at the same time, it's Darkhawk, so who cares? I know there are some '90s kids who absolutely care, but sure, he was kind of cool, but he wasn't. So he was of a time, put it that way. But yeah, like Agent 70 said, the interactions are great in this issue. And them basically doing the whole office or whatever, side video thing, and and basically trying not to do the same mistakes that they did in the first issue, and still doing things, still making, there's still things that will go wrong and happen, including with, Amadeus, who's just being one of big dork and want to be, just want to be, not necessarily he wants to be in command or anything, but it's like he just want to be respected, basically. He was like, hey, I got an idea. I got some things. I know how to do this. But regardless, therein lies Imperial Guardians #2 of I'm not entirely sure of how many. I want to say it might go up to 6 like Nova did. I think I can't remember if that's the case. So or not, but we shall see. I would like to think Marvel would want it to at least go to 6 so they can get a trade out of it at the very least. So
Right.
4 or
5 or
5. Yes, exactly.
Right. It's
so,
probably 5 or 6. I think that's
mhm.
safe.
Yeah, that's definitely a safe bet. So that being the case, that concludes all of the books that we have in common. Rapid fire.
Alrighty, folks, get ready for rapid fire review time. Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Alrighty, folks. First up is Absolute Batman number 19. It's published by DC. It's written by Scott Snyder with art by Nick Dragotta, colors by Frank Martin, and letters by Tom Napolitano. So, you have to bear in mind that this Absolute line is always going to involve the reinvention of the Absolute version of certain characters. In this book, it's the Absolute version of Batman related characters. I personally did not put 2 and 2 together and understand which character was introduced until I read about it in another article to prepare for the show. I was like, so that's the character who was introduced? Because the character is so different looking that I was thrown off by the look. But then when I went back to it, I realized that I was probably just tired or reading it too quickly or just not processing it because I missed out on a couple of hints at who the character was when I was first reading it. Ultimately, though, the story is effective. It also introduces a version, and we're going to get more of it in the next issue, but we get a preview of the Absolute versions of the Robin character, right? So that's probably going to be a big deal, and we'll see what happens as the series continues along. I'm not sure if they're ever going to get rid of the Absolute universe because I think they're having a lot of success and a lot of fun with it. Who knows when it finally peters out? It took, if you guys remember, it took a long time for the original Ultimate corner of the Marvel universe to eventually wind its way down. Next up for me is Nightwing number 137. It's published by DC. It's written by Dan Waters with pencils by Dennis Cowan, inks by Norm Rapmund, and letters by Francesco Segala. So this follows up on the previous issue. It continues with, the story's titled "The Bridge." It's right there on the cover, and I can't help but have references in my mind to the bridge during my reading of this. We have a guest appearance in this issue from none other than Batman, and they're trying to figure out they're jointly trying to save people on a bridge that connects Bloodhaven and Gotham, and that's how they end up crossing over. But this story, which started in the last issue or the previous issue, has mystical elements to it, and we haven't really seen much of that in this issue. We'll see if that circles back in the next and upcoming issues, and we'll see where this particular story goes. But it was still a very effective issue, well done. It's a candidate for Click of the Week for me. Next up is, skipping over the stuff we had in common, Magic and Colossus number 3 of 5, published by Marvel. It's written by Ashley Allen with art by Herman Peralta. Colors are by Arthur Hesley, and letters are by VC's Ariana Mar. I'm having a lot of fun reading this buddy cop slash team up book with brother and sister Magic and Colossus as they're kind of working out their trauma slash differences slash family drama, on every page with between every panel. And I get a kick out of that. These are old fan favorites for me, and just to see them interacting again. We've both seen them die, get transformed, go bad, stay, go back to being good. Like do heel turns, right? Go bad, and go back to the light side. So these characters are definitely complicated, but to see them kind of work out their issues, like I said, in real time over the course of the story is kind of fun. Next up for me is Venom number 257, published by Marvel. It's written by Charles Soule, with art by Javier Pina, colors are by Matt Hollingsworth, and letters are by VC's Clayton Cowles. Heads up, folks, Paul is still dead. And we are moving. As Roddykat celebrates in real time, we are moving forward with the next potential victims on the hit list of Carnage slash who's its Torment. And that particular partnership doesn't exactly last, or we'll see how long it lasts, because this is the penultimate issue of this crossover, right? I believe the next issue of All Amazing is the final issue of the crossover, but I think there's also like an Omega style one shot for this Death Spiral crossover, so that might not be the final issue of the story. But in this issue, the potential victims are the two aunts, or the two aunts, Aunt May and Aunt Anna. And you can't go after them because Spidey and now Venom are going to go after Torment and Carnage to intervene on the behalf of the two aunts. So it's fun to see the two aunts getting some story time, and for me, I'm kind of curious to see how this all ends and how they work out Spidey finding out that Mary Jane is Venom. Last but not least for me is X-Men United number 2, published by Marvel. It's written by Eve Ewing, with art by Tiago Palma, colors by Brian Reber, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So this is probably my most difficult read, right? I've been pretty much on board with Eve L. Ewing's writing. She's done a lot. She did Ironheart, she did Exceptional X-Men before this, and she's done some other Marvel books in the past, like Black Panther. And I felt like this concept was going to be fun, right? Where they took all of the students that have been cultivated across the X books, in Exceptional X-Men, in Uncanny X-Men, and in adjectiveless plain old X-Men, and kind of, create a way to put them all together in a school setting and tell stories. I like that concept. I don't know if it's working right now. And I don't think that the storytelling is the strongest for these combined for the combinations of these characters in these two issues so far. I feel like Eve L. Ewing has a great handle on some of her Exceptional X-Men characters, but I don't know if she's got the best handle of the characters who are coming from the other books and how they're interacting together. So I'm willing to stick with reading this over the first arc, which I'm going to presume is going to be over the first 5 issues, and we'll see if they're able to turn it around. But I wasn't all that keen on finishing this book, so my hope is that it gets better. And that's it for me.
Well, alrighty. Excuse me. as we get to my couple of books that I have left, we're going to go back to being silent because G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, Sssilent Mission, Zartan, and #1 is my first book. Art by Pat Olive. Words, well, yes, by Tom DeFalco. Hang on, I need to recheck that. But yes, Tom DeFalco, and colors by John Kliqs. So yeah, this is another Sssilent Mission. This, as the name implies, it is Zartan, but it's not just Zartan. It is mainly Zartan. So well, let's put it this way: the Joes are testing a thing. Stop me if you've heard this one. And you know, they're testing a thing, and Cobra's after it. And guess who else is after it? You know, the name's right there on the book. So this book becomes them trying to get said item while also fighting off the other people trying to get that, and specifically Zartan in Major Blood more so than the Joes in this one. But given whose name is on the book, you may or may not know how this ends up. You know, you can read and find that out for yourself. But you know, it is another one of these silent issues, and I believe there might be one more of these left. I can't remember. I believe there is one more left, and but I thought the Zartan one was the last one, but I may be wrong. But there is a checklist in the end of the book, and I will look at that later. But yeah, that's that issue. Next up, actually, I only have this one last book, and that book is Tigress Island #2, created by Patrick Kindlon and Epic, written by Patrick Kindlon or Kindland, with art and colors by Epic. That's how I'm going to pronounce it because I don't know any other way. I've not heard that name before ever. So that's what it's going to be. So basically, this is a story all about how some folks' lives got flipped into upside down. This specifically, some would say troubled, some would also say washed up actresses, models, and the like, who end up in Hong Kong because they heard about a situation that might help them or make their situation better, but they all end up getting kidnapped and sent to an island to service the head person, or the head guy over there, along with a whole bunch of other folks who have already gotten kidnapped. So at first I thought this was going to be more like a some would say like a Fortnite battle royale or a battle royale type situation, and it might get to that point yet, but it hasn't gotten to the point to where battle royale would have done its thing. If you know that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, so in this particular issue, we get a little bit more backstory into the ladies that that end up on the island, or the new ladies, excuse me, that end up on the island, and we come to also find out that they have some of them have some skills apparently that come into play during the course of this issue. But the majority of this issue is basically, hey, a couple of them trying to find out, you know, what's going on here. One, two, how they can all get out of this situation, basically. And part of that ends up starting to happen in this. Now, while, let's just say, the powers against them are doing their thing against them, there's the ladies in here are varied, because there's like a Russian lady, there's like a Southeast Asian lady, there's a black lady, there's this one white girl who's on the surface seems, I don't want to call her dense because she doesn't seem like she's stupid, but she speaks in a certain way that one makes me think that either she's putting that on, and there's something more to her, or that's just really her, and that's the thing. I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like she's just gonna stand up and walk like Caesar Soze, and just be the one behind all of this. But I'm just but the girls do end up finding, or the women, excuse me, end up finding out there's one amongst them may know a little bit about the situation, and that's where things kind of start. You know, we start getting information out of it. But it's an interesting book, despite that what the cover seems like. There's not a whole lot of actual TNA.
Boo!
But there is some of it that's not necessarily implied. Well, there is some of it that's a little bit implied in spots, but it's not. It doesn't show anything like that. There is a cover that apparently you can probably get that is a not safe for work cover, with one of the ladies on the cover. But yeah, I think it doesn't really go that
Wait,
far.
this is issue number 2. When did number 1 come out?
Something like definitely last month, because I read it like yesterday, but it came out like March like the 11th or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It was either the 8th or the 11th, so one or two. It was early last month. But yeah, I found it interesting to read, because like I said, I even said when the issue came out, the first issue came out, I was like, this is something that seemed interesting to me, for reasons I couldn't explain yet, but it seemed like something like I said, battle royale-ish, and I was like, I kind of wanted to check it out. So, but we'll see where this goes. It's interesting. The art style is definitely kind of different. If there would have been some TNA in there, would have been surprised with the art style. And that is not a knock or anything because it's actually some clean art, but a lot of clean art. But it doesn't necessarily go that way with this. If that was something you were looking for, But that's it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week. I'm gonna take a look at that Tiger's Island book.
Yeah, check it out. It's kind of fun.
Art looks very interesting.
Yeah.
Kliqs of the week.
So I think it's safe to say, honestly, I think I pretty much got mine. But I will just do due diligence and say that.
And candidates.
Yeah. What was the other ones? Sorry. Too much.
It's all right. I'll go real quick. So.
Oh no, I got it. Okay. Gatchaman. One of them. Imperial Guardians is the other one, and of course the aforementioned G.I. Joe number 21.
Sure.
That's a different cover right there. Boom.
There you go. So my candidates would be Absolute Batman number 19. Believe it or not, Mumm-Ra The Ever-Living number 1.
I thought about it.
Was pretty good. Nightwing number 137 was pretty good for me. And those are my candidates. And G.I. Joe number 21, of course. So those are my candidates. So I'm kind of mulling this over because I think I have like the top 2 I can choose from. What about you?
G.I. Joe 21 is mine.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to be yours. That's definitely one of my top 2. The other one being Absolute Batman. I think the one thing that's going against the Absolute Batman is just me being a dumbass and not realizing who was being introduced in the issue. It just took me a second to realize what was going on, right? Just a little bit too long. But I definitely think that G.I. Joe number 21 is also a good pick. But I'm going to go with Absolute Batman number 19 because there's a lot going on here, right? There's something major happens with one of the main supporting characters, and obviously we get the introduction of the Robins in this issue.
Gotcha. All right. That being the case, also, I assume my pick freed you up for picking something else as well, if that was the case.
I mean, I'm kind of intrigued by the concept, like confirmed by our conversation, that the character that we've been kind of waiting for in G.I. Joe is introduced, just not the way we thought it was going to be.
Which I feel like that's kind of par for the course for this universe also, because they've been doing things a little bit different since the onset. So, but yeah, that's it, folks. Those are our clicks, and we are going to go into the news section. But first, let's get one ad read in.
Our first ad read of this show is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to cabernet to torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news we'll do about this time. Marvel officially confirms fan favorite cameo in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And that cameo is Jessica Jones. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not Jessica Jones. I'm sorry. This is actually, I read this thinking, the image at the top was the case, but no, it is absolutely not. So according to this article, and I did not see this, and I feel like I should go back and watch it, but we'll see. In episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again, eagle-eyed fans noticed a window that Bullseye breaks through that bears a striking resemblance to the Watcher's iconic bald visage, even with the indoor lights looking like the character's eyes glowing. This understandably, according to this article, this understandably led many fans to theorize that this could be the Watcher's first appearance in the MCU series, and now that theory has seemingly been confirmed by Marvel TV's head honcho Brad Winderbaum, who took to his official Instagram page and shared a screenshot of the hotly debated scene captioned "Always Watching," which practically confirms that the suspicious broken window is indeed Jeffrey Wright's character watching another historic Marvel event unfold, according to this article. So that's funny business if that is actually the case. Like I said, I don't remember, I wasn't paying that close attention to that, but that's some funny business if that's the case.
Serendipity, I think.
I probably, yeah. It's also that, because I was also thinking, it was like, okay, fans be looking at stuff, and of course Marvel's not going to, or the Marvel people are going to play with it and be like, yeah, nah, that's not necessarily it, but we'll dangle it over them a little bit.
Well, like I said, it's serendipitous because they see it and they will. It was a happy accident, and I think they're going to make it work.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to, I think.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah. Same, tomato. But yeah, that's actually, like I said, I'm still got to go back and see. I wish they had given a timestamp to it, but it's fine. That's not a hard not hard scene to track down.
It's toward the end. It's towards the end, so it's not too hard.
So yeah, like I said, yeah. So therein lies that, folks. If you saw it, cool. If you didn't see it, hey, I'm sure you can look if you have the option to. Next up.
So this is pretty big news that's coming out of CinemaCon this week, literally tonight, as of the date of this recording and broadcast. Avengers Doomsday trailer reveals the first look at Robert Downey Jr.'s supervillain Dr. Doom. The new trailer was played twice for the audience at CinemaCon today, Thursday. Now we've passed into Friday in terms of our broadcast, but when we started, it was Thursday, April 16th. So, Marvel unveiled the first look at Downey Jr. in the CinemaCon trailer for Avengers Doomsday, marking the Iron Man veteran's return to the MCU, this time as supervillain Victor Von Doom. This article contains spoilers. I did not read these spoilers on purpose because There's a lot of, I skimmed it and I was like, oh, that's pretty spoilerific. So I'm not going to talk about it here. If you want to go into it, we have a link to the article in our show notes. We're going to get this Doomsday trailer soon enough, so I didn't want to spoil everything for myself, and I don't want to do it for the people in the audience.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of times the CinemaCon trailer doesn't necessarily get released anyway. So, or half the time, because there has been cases stuff comes out of CinemaCon, and this is all we get, their accounts of it, and not the actual trailer, and then that comes on long like way later. But speaking of CinemaCon and stuff that we don't get to see, Spider-Man Brand New Day swings into CinemaCon with new scene and posters. So yeah. Let's see. Sony head Tom Rothman first showed off 2 upcoming posters for the movie, noting it feels like nothing we've ever done that we've ever made, in quote, despite the many past stories around the superhero. He also called it Holland's, quote, finest performance before Holland appeared virtually to declare the movie is, quote, the most emotional Spider-Man movie we've ever made, and in some ways the most grown up, end quote. So yeah, the soon was introduced by Wonder Man and Spider-Man Brand New Day co-creator Destin Daniel Cretton, who previously directed, of course, Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. And if you're watching the video version, you can see the poster for Spider-Man Brand New Day, or a poster for Spider-Man Brand New Day, which has Spidey going up against some familiar folks that are usually more street level and fighting someone in Hell's Kitchen. And yeah. Give him a hand, folks. Anyway, here's another poster. If you're watching the video version of almost harkens back to the old Sony posters, which the Spidey mask, and of course there's MJ in the mask right there,
The reflection
in the eye socket. Yep. So yeah, therein lies that, and of course, Brand New Day is going to going to arrive July 31st of this year. So yeah, we'll definitely going to be watching it. Next up,
Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse first footage shows Miles escaping from the Prowler. The directors tease the final chapter of the Miles story at CinemaCon. So, this also has plenty of spoilers in the article, but let's see here. This chapter will conclude Miles' 3-film arc, so there's a lot at stake. Across the Spider-Verse, which was released in 2023, ended on a cliffhanger with the fate of Miles' family hinging on his ability to navigate the multiverse. Okay. I don't think there's anything else. Oh wait. So Beyond the Spider-Verse is scheduled to swing into theaters on June 18th, 2027. God willing, we're all still here.
Huh. Yeah, really. Really. Sorry if you hear any clicking. If you don't, I've done some good editing. Great. Next up, come on. Disney lays off 1,000 employees, folks. And yes, matter of fact, I'm going to take the next article, and we will hear a little bit more about this later on in the show. But this also affects Marvel and Marvel Studios, which is the next article. So, let's go back to the first one first, and says that Disney is making layoffs this week to, quote, streamline their operations in various parts of the company. This is from CEO Josh D'Amaro, who said in a memo to employees on Thursday. Of course, there's the 1,000 roles. None of them are, off the top. Weirdly enough, they never are. Where most of the money is, but none of the work. Anyway, let's see. primarily as a result of Disney's formation of a consolidated enterprise marketing division under the leadership of Asad Ayaz. According to this article, Chief Marketing and Brand Officer, a familiar source with the situation, said the cuts will span marketing functions across Disney Studios, TV networks, ESPN, product and technology, and corporate groups, the source adds. And as I go into the next article, like I said, I was going to take Disney, Marvel and Marvel Studios, which let's see. I don't know how, it doesn't say how many that they're going to be cut, but I know that next article, the article later on probably will say something at the very least. There's also a quote here that was also in the last article saying that from the CEO, "I know this is hard. You, what do you know? Your job's not getting affected." But that is the quote that is from the memo about the thousands cuts. Quotes, "These decisions are not a reflection of their contributions or of the overall strength of the company. Rather, they reflect our continual evaluation of how to more effectively manage our yank, whatever. Let's see. According to this article, one of the hardest hit areas will be the visuals development unit at Marvel Studios, the award-winning team responsible for shaping the signature look of the MCU. So the group, made up of illustrators, character designers, and other creative specialists, played a key role in defining blockbuster titles such as the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Daredevil. Again, according to this article, insiders say nearly the entire department has been eliminated, leaving behind only a small core staff tasked with coordinating freelance and contract workers on a project-by-project basis. Many of those affected have spent years, in some cases more than a decade, helping build Marvel's visual identity. And that sucks.
Yeah, and we're not going to be citing from the New York Post ever again.
It was the one that had the thing, so.
I get it.
I know New Yorkers have a problem with the Post, and rightly so, and I get it. But this was what had the thing. Next up, though.
We get Peter Safran debuting as Clayface in the teaser for Clayface at CinemaCon. Yes, folks, Clayface is a reality, maybe. So Warner Brothers and DC have unveiled the first teaser from their body horror flick Clayface, but it was only for those in the room at CinemaCon. Clayface, directed by James Watkins, marks the next big swing for DC Studios. After Supergirl hits theaters relatively soon, June 26th, the movie was originally set to hit theaters in early September, but it right now has a release date of October 23rd. It's coming, folks. We're going to start to see trailers very soon.
Of all things, Clayface, though? I still say that. And I know, whatever, but Clayface. Really?
I mean, all I can think of is whatchamacallit, Rocket Raccoon making fun of Taserface and say, "Taserface? You thought Clayface was gonna be scary and cool? Clayface?"
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I partially get it because they're going to play up the whole Matt Hagen tortured, actor, man of many faces, whatever the case may be, thing that pretty surely probably comes from Batman the Animated Series in one way, shape, or form. And they're going to Jokerize it, which I still haven't seen any of those Joker movies, but they're going to do that. But still, like there are many other characters they could have done that Batgirl movie. Anyway, next up, I guess some more sad news for folks that are in the know. John Nolan, actor in Batman films and person of interest, and also uncle of Jonathan and Christopher Nolan, has passed away at age 87. Excuse me. So the let's see, it doesn't say he died. Well, he died Saturday, so this was last Saturday, I guess. As is reported, it goes through some of his roles, including the ones in Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. He was also in Following, which was Nolan's first joint. I guess he wasn't in Memento. But anywho's, And his history is gone out here. It doesn't say what he passed from, but it probably doesn't matter at this point. Next up, though.
I'm having a lot of fun looking at old G.I. Joe vehicles. That's how I was able to get the name of that Cobra Claw vehicle so quickly.
You can very much go down a rabbit hole with that.
Yeah, I'll send Roddykat a link, and we can take a look at it right before we log off tonight.
I suspect if it's the one I'm thinking of, then yes, please send that to me. But I think I know where you got it from.
Yeah, you are probably correct. So next up is Sub-Zero is reborn in new Mortal Kombat 2 trailer. Tickets are on sale now. The sequel will have IMAX early fan event screenings on May 6th before opening nationwide on May 8th via Warner Brothers. Tickets are on sale now. I don't think we're going to go on movie protocol for this.
Probably not. We want to see it though, but probably not.
Cool.
And speaking of video game fighting games to screens that is coming up, Street Fighter the movie trailer brings the pain and the camp. Because that came out today, which was announced it was going to come out today anyway, but I still haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I saw clips of it. Not even clips, images of it.
Yeah, there was the previous teaser trailer from a while back, but this is the official joint that came out today.
I gotta watch that.
Yeah, and I suspect with the camp of that teaser trailer, I'm not really surprised of how this one's gonna be. So yeah, but apparently, according to this article, the trailer is out, and fans of the game's campier aspects will not be disappointed. And that some of that came through with the teaser trailer as well. But I guess Ken is front and center on this thing, and everybody, and they name drop everyone else is associated with this movie, including a certain rapper of, I guess, some note. I guess I don't know why, but yeah. Anyway, it's set in 1993 according to this. And I guess it goes. You know what? I'm not gonna go through this, but basically, this article tells where it's set and a little bit leading up to. Come on, it's Mortal Kombat. You know it's gonna be a tournament. You know there's gonna be Street Fighters involved, and they're gonna be meeting folks. Street Fighter, yeah. Yes, it's Street Fighter. It's what are you gonna do? Maybe there's gonna be an Oh My car. There's probably gonna be an Oh My car. Now that I think about it, because there was one in the teaser trailer, and this basically kind of goes through the trailer, of which we did not see because, like I said, this was we haven't seen yet, but it's out there for folks to see, unlike the CinemaCon stuff. But yeah, check it out if you haven't already, because it is there. I'm scrolling to see because I can't remember when it's supposed to be.
It's the next to last paragraph.
Oh yeah, here we go. October 16th, 2026. Thank you, sir. Next up.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. You got this one.
That's funny. Give me 1 second, because I'm always dealing with the ad blockers. The Hunt for Gollum will get a new Strider. The Lord of the Rings director of The Hunt for Gollum confirms that Aragorn is recasting for the new movie. Viggo Mortensen, as great as he is 67 years old, and he's reportedly not returning for the film because it's set between the events of The Hobbit and The Fellowship of the Ring. And a younger Ranger is yet to be cast for the iconic role.
But also, you're not breaking my hand again. But yeah, so yeah, that's a thing. No word. Well, actually, I think it even says here that whether, I don't think this is going to happen. There was some rumor that Elijah Wood may or may not be popping up for some reason, which I don't think would be the case because of when this is supposedly set. But yeah, I don't know. So, that's next up though. Actually, you should have gotten this one also. But Tom Cruise is reuniting with Jerry Bruckheimer for Top Gun 3. Script is underway, according to this article. So yeah, apparently Paramount's giving another go to Top Gun because money. The studio's head Dana Goldberg and Josh Greenstein announced that the next installment of the high-flying franchise is officially developing with a, quote, script underway. They added that the film's reuniting Tom Cruise and Jerry Bruckheimer, who produced the first two movies. Excuse me. The studio did not explicitly state whether Cruise will appear in the project, so it's possible that he may only be involved in a producer capacity. The announcement came a few minutes after Paramount debuted a star-studded promotional video directed by Wicked filmmaker John M. Chu and narrated by Cruise himself. And it goes on from there. Next up.
Right. The studio did not explicitly state whether Cruise will appear in the project, so it's possible, unlikely though, that he may only be involved in a producer capacity.
Right. Like,
come on, guys.
I feel the need for speed.
Talk to me, Goose.
There you go.
I also didn't see the second one, so I don't know how it ended to whether that would be the case, what would happen, what has happened with this character or not. But I suspect his character ended. I mean, his character was still alive at the end.
So here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
As crazy as the second movie is, it's worth the watch. There's some really great flying scenes because that's all I'm there for. I don't really care about all the other stuff.
Sure.
But there are some incredibly well done flight scenes in the movie, and they also, I saw a making of documentary, like a short making of documentary, where they talked about some of the new camera tech that they created so that they could have like cockpit views of the pilots. Flying, actually in the air, flying in the planes. So you should definitely, I would definitely suggest watching it. Obviously you're going to suspend a lot of disbelief, but it's still a pretty fun watch.
Oh, sure. I mean, and hey, you would hope they get the flying good. That's kind of in the name,
right?
But anyway, next up, would you like this next one?
Oh yes. So I don't think I haven't seen this teaser trailer, but I saw pictures. I heard about it. Godzilla Goes to New York and -0 teaser trailer. So Toho released a teaser video for Godzilla -0, the upcoming sequel to the award-winning film Godzilla -1. The teaser shows the famous monster next to the Statue of Liberty as it rampages across New York. That gives a new meaning to Billy Joel's New York State of Mind, which we got last week in Daredevil Born Again. Godzilla -0 is set in 1949, 2 years after the events of the first film, and will be a direct sequel. You'll see many familiar faces who are coming back from -1. And let's see. The movie is heading to cinemas in Japan on November 3rd and in the United States on November 6th this year. Wow, the winter is going to be a lot of fun this year, folks. We get Godzilla -0, and then we're going to get Doomsday not far after. And if you're a Dune person, you get Dune also.
Yeah, if you are one of those people. I might give -0 a shot in the theaters this time. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Next up, though, after more than a decade, Frank Oz is returning to the puppets. Returning to puppets, excuse me, but not with the Muppets. So apparently, Frank Oz is doing some YouTube shorts in a new series called Judge Boing Boing, and it stars a stupid, eccentric puppet judge in a parody of the People's Court. Each episode is just a few minutes long and features the cross-eyed, absent-minded judge finding everyone guilty before they even really get a chance to explain their case. All 3 episodes, according to this article, are punchy and fun, but what's truly remarkable about them is who put the shorts together. A number of people involved with the Muppets and Sesame Street participated, including Pepe the King Prawn performer Bill Beretta, who created the series and stars as Judge Boing Boing, performing as a hilarious impression of the late comedian and actor Ed Wynn. According to the Muppets fan site Tough Pigs, that's funny, Gonzo performer Dave Goltz and many others are involved. Most surprisingly, though, the series was co-created and directed by Frank Oz, who not many people know, director, marking his first puppetry project in more than a decade. Spotlight Up's great movie. Next up, though,
Oh, we're going into the comic book section.
we are.
Specifically the manga section.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a second.
Oh, why are you doing that? By the way, if you check out the clickbait section, folks, you can find a recipe for Darth Maul waffles in there, and also an interview with Eve L. Ewing on a podcast she was on recently. So if either one of those sets your fancy, and actually the waffles is an old article that I just found out because they, of course, since the Maul stuff came out, they reposted it. But hey,
All right.
there you go. Darth Maul waffles, if you're interested. Next up.
Here we go into the manga section. The Dragon Ball Super manga is coming back, and it's set to bring with it some huge changes to the franchise's canon. Recently, Toyo Teru confirmed that he is working towards serializing the Dragon Ball Super manga again, which is already exciting. But let's see here. So now, obviously, with the passing of the original creator of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Super, it looks like Toyo Teru is going to be the word on the Dragon Ball franchise, and he is. Let's see. So basically, this is kind of an opinion piece, but it's a way to analyze what's probably going to be the canon moving forward. In that Super Saiyajin 5 is going to be officially canon, since this creator was basically one of the forces behind the creation of the design of the Super Saiyajin 5 form, right? Because Toriyama obviously was the originator, but Toyo Teru, I guess, contributed some of the design work to it.
But also, you said GT was canon, and we know Toriyama said that's not true.
Right.
So take that for what it is, folks. But yeah, I guess sure. There's another Super Saiyan. This man's running amok, but who's going to stop him? Next up, we are going to get into comic book news, and Agent 7, I'm going to let you take this one also.
Alrighty. On May 11th at 12 noon, the official street naming for Jack Kirby Way will take place at the intersection of Delancey Street and Essex Street. This is just a few blocks away from where Jack Kirby grew up on Essex Street, and also happens to be a very busy and prominent corner with developments and a movie theater right on that same corner. The entire block of Essex Street between Delancey and Rivington will henceforth be known as Jack Kirby Way. That's pretty cool.
Also, if folks on the audio version hear a version of Dana Dane's Delancey Street playing in the background, you'll understand why. But yeah, that's cool. Will we have Agent 70 on the scene when that happens? Probably not, but if it does, hey, we'll hopefully we'll see some pictures at some point.
Yes.
of the
Exactly.
signage.
Exactly. That's the plan, because this is obviously happening during a work day, but if you can get away for the official naming or the aftermath of it, that sounds like a pretty cool idea.
Yep, indeed. Next up, though, some very, very sad news also. It is very sad news, but it is not as sad as a death at this point, but it is still, very sad. Either way, yes.
It's tough news.
We have come to find out that Adam Hughes artist extraordinaire is battling stage 6 colorectal cancer.
No, stage 3C.
Stage 3C, excuse me. Yes. You did, yeah. Either way, if you're watching the video version, you are seeing from like this is his site where this news is coming from, and news places have picked it up.
Yeah, his wife posted it, so
yeah. So yeah, it's, I'm not gonna read all of this, but basically, from what it sounds like in this article, that the initial surgery was very successful. So, and he's going to start chemotherapy within the next couple of weeks. And it can't obviously can't anticipate how that's going to affect his work, but he's not going to be doing that much work. And has also canceled all of his forthcoming appearances for the foreseeable future. Until such time as they work that out, or he gets back into shape, fighting shape. So we wish him well. We hope everything definitely continues to go well, and that he can get back to doing things, making his art that we do love. And but most importantly, we just hope his health continues to
improve,
be on the positive side, and also fuck cancer.
Yes, fuck cancer. Fuck cancer. Alrighty, next up is Dark Horse announces Dungeons and Dragons Ravenloft, a new horror series that follows Ravenloft, the horrors within. So let's see. The first issue will be released on August 19th, 2026, with covers by multiple artists. This is going to be written by Amy Chu and drawn by artist Ariella Cristantina and a colorist Arif Prianto. It's a 4-issue miniseries set in a decaying Ravenloft and featuring characters that are familiar to that world of Dungeons and Dragons.
Shout out to Von Gloom, who's not in the chat as far as I know, but I saw him say that he thought that the cover looked like Crocoan era Kate Pride, which kind of does.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
And now that you mention it, it jumped right into my head.
Mm-hmm. So, when I saw this, I thought that similar things, but I was like, okay, you're right. Can't really unsee it if you if you know it. So
right.
It is there. Right. But obviously Dungeons and Dragons much longer time, and I'm pretty sure whoever this character is may or may not have been around for a good length longer than that. But regardless, next up, Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel is officially confirmed, but with a twist. So yeah, Dynamite Entertainment has officially unveiled the first look at an upcoming Buffy the Vampire series, and the next iteration of the character is already shaping up to be pitch perfect according to this article. The new series is being written by Kelly Thompson, who also serves as the architect of the latest Buffyverse, and illustrated by David Nakayama. So, which was the DNA that I referred to earlier, by the way. Who will reintroduce Sunnydale with not just an original story, but one of the biggest events that the franchise has ever seen, according to this article. There's a quote here: "It's been a hard book to talk about," from Thompson told Bleeding Cool. "The new way I've decided to talk about it while hiding the mysterious interior is telling people to think of the first issues like an event book. Excuse me. Almost like we're starting with an event book with something that draws the cast of Buffy and Angel together for like a very personal, emotional thing, and then we sort of spin out from there." End quote. So there you go. Do we have... We don't have when this is happening, but it's probably... Oh, here we go. It was announced in July 2025. I am not seeing the date of when it's going to be out, but I'm sure we'll get some more news about that later. Next up.
Following its announcement last fall, Mad Cave Studios has revealed its comic book continuation of the classic sci-fi adventure film, The Last Starfighter, will begin on July 1st, written by Benjamin Robb and Derek A. Hughes, with art by Willie Roberts. The book will pick up 40 years after the movie, which saw almost literally in real time, which saw teenage gamer Alex Rogan, played by Lance Guest, become an alien hero. The official synopsis says small town teenager Alex Rogan has already saved multiple worlds, but that was only the beginning of his story. 40 years after the cult classic movie that pioneered CGI and inspired generations of fans, an all new story picks up from the end credits and takes off for the stars. Okay.
Greetings, Starfighter. Yes, I'm actually looking forward to this. I know they've been trying to do a Last Starfighter thing for a good while now, so I'm glad to see at the very least something's happening from it.
I feel like I feel like my parents took me to see The Last Starfighter.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know mine did. Wait, did mine? Yes, I know. I feel like there was a parent with me when I saw it. I think one of them. Either way, yeah. So wait, you said July the 1st.
I think I did. I'm sorry if I didn't.
No, I think you did. So, but cool. Next up, though, DC's epic medieval fantasy universe returns in Dark Knights of Steel 2. So it's going to be a 12-issue limited series written by, of course, Tom Taylor and illustrated by Otto Schmidt. There's a gallery of images that is going along with this article for a preview that you can check out for yourself. I never read the first one, but okay. Next up.
Rob Liefeld clashes with Brian Michael Bendis fans over the legacy of Ultimate Spider-Man on Threads. The Direct Edition podcast and Michael Avon Oming weigh in on Liefeld's online confrontational style. Liefeld defended his Captain America sales and Deadpool's originality amid ongoing criticism. The debate stirs creator insecurities, but Bendis himself remains pretty silent as others fuel the feud. Okay.
Because, you know what? Credit to Bendis for knowing better than the playing this mess. I will give him that credit. Yeah. Moving right along. Marvel to reveal Peter Parker's Aunt May or Uncle Ben had a child? Question mark. And this is, speculation, quite possibly. I'm just going to take it at that because especially comes to where it's coming from. So Marvel hints at a shocking family secret for Peter Parker in an upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 1000, which I could have sworn happened already.
No, it's upcoming.
Yeah. Was there another 1000 issue that I'm thinking about that or maybe I'm tripping. I'm probably tripping.
Batman or Detective Comics, I think.
No, for Spider-Man, but I might be tripping. I might be tripping. Either way, clues suggest Aunt May or Uncle Ben had a child, like I said, a child before Peter joined the family, because less people forget that that's not their child, like their blood child. You know what I mean. Anyway, speculation rises over mysterious cousin and possible new Parker family relations. Why are we doing this again? Mm-hmm. And according to this, Marvel could be revisiting Trouble by rewriting Peter Parker's origin for a new era. Again, speculation, rumor. We're taking it as at this point. So. And this actually goes into something from recent issues. It's most specifically Amazing Spider-Man 26.
Yep.
So, that this article is pointing to, and we can go from there with whatever else. Next up.
Just give me a second.
QDMX.
Oh, that's right. I'm like, why is he talking about that? Oh, okay. Hold on. What y'all really want? Marvel teases next big X-Men event, DNX. Marvel's next big thing is putting the X-Men center stage. Later this year, the House of Ideas will release DNX, a new event from the minds of Jed McKay and Federico Vicentini. Little is known about the story itself, other than the creators involved. I have an idea where this might be going. Um, the tagline for the event is "Evolution is contagious." Oh, so instead of getting rid of all the mutants, everybody's a mutant. Let's
Sure.
see.
I mean, I feel like we've been getting seasons of this in the Xbox for one reason or another.
Yeah. DNX #1 has yet to set an exact release date, though Marvel does say it'll see release in September. Crossover titles have yet to be unveiled, but yeah, they're laying the seeds. They're laying the groundwork for this in the pages of Adjectiveless X-Men. This is not an Uncanny thing. This is an X-Men thing. So, and that's the book, obviously, that McKay's writing.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they're gonna let them run with it. So there you go. Next up, going back to the earlier news. So yeah, the part of the Disney corporate layoffs, David Gabriel, SVP print sales and marketing, is one of those let go. This has been confirmed from multiple sources, according to this article. There are more layoffs, including in editorial, but that has not been confirmed according to this article. And of course, like I said, this goes back to the whole Disney getting rid of 1,000 jobs that we talked about earlier. So, yeah, expect to hear a couple more names coming out in the next few weeks, let's just say, or if not the next few days, sadly. Next up.
Man, he was at Marvel for 23 years. My goodness.
Crazy work.
Yeah, I mean, the article goes on to say a lot of people that Heidi McDonald over at the Beat contacted, a lot of them asked, so who's going to replace him? That's a tough question.
Right.
That's a tough question. It's hard to replace someone like that. Let's see. A card from Magic's canceled Monster Hunter Secret Lair is now being given away for free in a new set. Magic the Gathering's Secret Lair has offered a whole bunch of crossovers in recent years, and while they're not full standard sets and instead operate as a get them before they're gone limited time event, they're not immune to controversy. Let's see here. One of the more contentious drops was the crossover with Monster Hunter. So let's see here. It was revealed that Secrets of Strixhaven's welcome decks will include Drakusith, Maw of Flames. The card, which is valued at $1 or less on a website, was intended to represent Rathalos, one of the Monster Hunter series' most iconic creatures. So now it was announced by Wizards of the Coast that it's going back to the drawing board with the Secret Lair set for Monster Hunter. So we'll see what happens. People are going to start to play with these welcome decks.
Well, so it's basically, I mean, potentially it was going to happen anyway, because every now and then when they make these welcome decks, it's for like new people who don't play, and there are people who are trying to get folks into them. So if you go into a comic shop, I mean, go into a LGS and be like, hey, do you have a welcome deck? Because I want to learn Magic or whatever it may be. But of course, we know people, who already play Magic are probably just going to go in there and ask anyway. So, but you can get these decks, just for free. So, that being the case. So, being that this is coming from the Strixhaven, I don't know how often they do welcome decks. I think the last time I've seen one is been it's been a minute. So, but yeah, probably after, if anyone's interested, after, I would say the 21st, because pre-release is probably, you can probably get it soon.
Yeah, that's like my Spider-Man welcome deck that I got from whatchamacallit, from San Diego last year.
Yeah. So they still do them. It's just that what your LGS will definitely have them if you ask for them, or a lot of times they will have them or not, because like I said, it's not like everybody comes in there and asks for them, and you may have to be specific about which one you want, or even if they ask, I don't know. But regardless, yeah. So it's just a deck that has. It's not. I don't think it was even a full deck. I think it's like 20 cards, or something like that. I can't remember that. And with some land or whatever that if you wanna learn, you can do that with. So It's cool. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this was going to be on the hunt for folks. I might actually be looking for it myself. I'm gonna be, if we're keeping it honest, uh, to check that out. But yeah, like I said, Strixhaven comes out fairly soon. I think pre-release is actually really soon because I've seen people out there talking about stuff, and I believe it might be supposedly next week, but some folks tend to break street date. Even with re-release, because you could probably go in there and be like, hey, give me a box or whatever around the time of pre-release, and they'll be like, here, even though they're not officially supposed to sell boxes until the official release. But you don't tell, they won't tell. Just saying. And I'm saying that because my most recent boxes were procured that way. That's not me telling. I ain't gonna tell you which boxes either. Ha. Anyway, or where I got them from. So yeah, take that. Next up, though, speaking of Magic the Gathering and Strixhaven, Magic is bringing back a $1,000 card that is banned in almost every format, with the exception of the one that is coming back in, and that is Timeless, which apparently you can just play any card. And having played some of that recently, it's real stupid. Some of the cards that you can play. But apparently, and that was me stumbling into it by accident. But Library of Alexandria is the card that is being reprinted. It was first printed in the 1993 set Arabian Nights. It's been reprinted a couple of times. It typically sells for $1,000 on sites like TGC Player, not a sponsor, but still. It is banned in most formats because it's probably OP, because a lot of these old cards were very much OP. So yeah, can't play it even in a Commander, which that's kind of slightly saying something. But so it's really more of a collector's item more than anything else, according to this article. But you can play it in Timeless, so which is basically, like I said, you can play pretty much anything, or almost anything that's legal. And there's a lot of cards in Timeless that are legal outside of the regular, modes that you would play Magic in. So if you're crazy enough to play that mode and you get this card, then hey, have fun. Next up,
the final trailer for Mortal Kombat 2 just launched and tickets are now available. Regal unveiled the Mortal Kombat 2 collectibles that are coming soon to their theaters, and included in the mix is an epic Shao Kahn collectible popcorn bucket. This is definitely a story up Roddykat's alley. Regal's Mortal Kombat 2 merchandise includes a Shao Kahn popcorn container, a Mortal Kombat logo dragon light up cup, and a double combo with collectible cups and bucket. Okay. AMC theaters will be handing out collectible packs of Upper Deck trading cards for IMAX attendees opening weekend, while Cinemark will be offering up a Johnny Cage collectible popcorn bucket that's shaped like a Hollywood clapperboard. Okay.
And also trading cards from Upper Deck. If you go to IMAX, AMC and IMAX from May 7th through the 10th.
Okay.
But also the one that really got me though was the very actually one of the last ones, which is if you're watching the video version, the arcade machine popcorn bucket, which is going to be, from what I understand, is going to be sold in Italy and in the US at some point. But if you're watching the video version, you can see said machine container there. I don't know where that's going to be. Oh, it does say AMC theater. So there you go. Along with the other stuff. It's called the Test Your Might 10, which includes large popcorn and probably going to cost a lot of money. And there is the previously mentioned clapper popcorn bucket, which seems cool, but doesn't seem like it's going to hold a lot of popcorn. So there you go, folks. Catch it. Next up, Marvel Legends fan stream. Thanks to Agent 70 for sending us along, even though I definitely didn't get a chance to watch the full live stream. But there was a live stream for Marvel Legends, as they tend to do. That was on April 14th, right before tax day, by the way. I hope you got your taxes in, because they want you to spend money. I'm just kidding.
That's right. It's true.
I mean, it is true, but You get that that rebate, that refund. You know where it's gonna go. So part of the stuff that is here, and the only thing that I actually saw from the video, because I did just kind of scroll through it like 2 seconds, was these Cyclops roleplay visor that was revealed. That's going to go on pre-sale on May 6th at fan channel on Amazon at 1 p.m. There's a Build-A-Figure wave that's on 15th, which is Lady Deadpool, Dark Avengers, Hawkeye, Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, Force Works, UJ Agent 70 was talking to me about this before the show. Ultimate Wolverine, because of course they were going to do that one right off the pocket. X-Men Outback Psylocke, excuse me, and Marina. Wait, her last name is Smallwood. Okay, did not know that. So. Yeah, Marina from Alpha Flight, and of course the Build-A-Figure is Alpha Flight's box,
the OG box, not the second version.
Correct. If you're watching the video version, you can see said figure right there. There's also Marvel Legends Rivals Punisher figure that was announced, and also Rivals Moon Knight and Spider-Man and Luna, and there's also Rivals Spider-Man and Luna Snow typo, and well, there is definitely a couple of typos in this article, but Luna Snow 2-pack. So yes. The Punisher is going to go up for pre-order along with Moon Knight on April 22nd as mainline releases. And the Luna Snow Spider-Man 2-pack is going to go up May 13th as a mainline release. And of course, last but not least, specifically not least for folks, the Marvel Legends Rivals Venom and Jeff the Landshark 2-pack, which why Venom and not Jeff? I don't know. But regardless, April 29th, and Rivals Cloak and Dagger have been rumored, but it was not announced, so it's unclear whether they're coming or not, but they probably will be. They'll very probably will be, because those are popular characters in that game. So yeah, Agent 70. Which ones are you planning on getting?
So it's funny that you said tax day as an incentive, right? So on tax day, the first pre-order dropped for the Build-A-Figure wave, right? That box Build-A-Figure wave. I only pre-ordered the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider and the Outback Psylocke version, because those are pretty important to me as a collector. I don't really care to build box because I don't have any of the other Alpha Flight characters. I did not get that box set. I might be tempted. I might have been more tempted if I had gotten around to buying that Alpha Flight box set. And I for sure do not listen. You never say never, but I was so surprised to see the ForceWorks version of US Agent produced as a Marvel Legend. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, there. If we were watching the video version, you can see him right there, along with Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. There's another picture of US Agent. Boo. Robbie. And my brother's like, what? Yep, there's another US Agent.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes on from there.
Right. If you move forward to the 29th slide, you get to see Outback Psylocke, and it's a pretty cool figure.
Yeah, I just passed, for folks watching the video version, I just passed Ultimate Wolverine, and here is Outback Psylocke right there. There we go, along with Creature Maul.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool rendition of that version of the figure. I will be happy to cop that.
And there's Marina and Box for those. Don't tell Namor.
Nah, don't tell Namor.
Or do, I don't know. We still have yet to find out whether apparently she's alive, and apparently we don't know if he knows yet.
Right.
Or maybe he does. We don't know. Regardless, yeah, therein lies that. And there's the Punisher again. So there you go. Next up, though, I'm going to take these two.
Sure. Because this is right up your alley.
You know what? I'm actually going to take all three. So to round this out. So, I haven't seen an article on this, but IGM posted on Twitter that and I'm assuming this is like from this is from CinemaCon, that there's Masters of the Masters of the Universe merch that is coming along with the music. The one that is being shown right now is the power sword that, while you would think would be a popcorn bucket, it is not. It's a drink holder. So yeah, it's a cup. Yeah, it's I would argue full size power sword that apparently kind of got a swivel in it for some reason. And yeah, you can take off the top, drink out of it, and you'll have your power sword drink thing. So they realize that. That's the first thing. Next up is also coming from that, the life-size Masters of the Universe Chronicles Havoc staff, aka Skeletor's staff, which apparently is $189 from Mattel Creations. It's of course that's is the movie version. The dimensions are here, and the thing's got buttons it's got buttons for lights and sounds and smoke, and striking the ground with the bottom of the staff activates more lights and sounds according to this article. So that's actually kind of cool if you want to cosplay. Some Skeletor movies specifically, I suppose. And it's got a lithium-ion battery to power all of that stuff, so you're gonna have to charge that up at some point. And also comes with a smoke solution, non-toxic, of course, so that you can have said smoke effects to deal with. So sure, there you go. Last but not least, for those that were interested in getting the He-Man beat 'em up video game that was supposed to come out on April 30th. Well, you're gonna have to wait just a little longer, I'm afraid. Limited run.
That sucks.
Yeah, limited runs. Excuse me, they said the original date was April 28th, but regardless, it's still not coming until later, because limited run went out there on Twitter and basically put a note out there saying that their engineer of development for it, which is the name of it, is called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Dragon Pearl of Destruction. If you did not know the name, coming out for all platforms. But basically, they're saying, hey, they need some more time for it so they can make sure that it's proper. You know what? And that's cool. You know what? People balk about that sometimes, but really be upset when the game come out really broken. So asking for more time, or I mean, more time is going to get had either way. So waiting a few more for the game shouldn't be that big of a problem, but some people are asses. It doesn't necessarily say when. I thought I saw somewhere around August, but I don't quote me on that, because I'm not entirely sure. But basically, when we get another date for it, we will let folks know when it's actually going to come out. So yeah. But yeah, I was looking forward to it, and I still am. But like I said, it's not going to be when we thought it was coming out. And that, folks, is it for the news section. Can we get one last ad read?
Our last ad read for this episode: keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
All right, folks, that's it. We're out of here. We will be back next week with more of everything. Monarch, Daredevil, Invincible, Maul, all of those books, everything, everything all at once. If you want to go,
yes, all of this content, folks, all of the content, all the time.
Yep. I'm going to try to squeeze in a stream or two, because Marvel Heroes is still kind of hitting on things, and I love it. I've been playing it off stream anyway, so might as well. And if you saw a Pokemon stream a few days ago, no, you didn't. That just happened to be on the mistakenly on the channel. Don't worry about it. But folks, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. You can find this here podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
And you can find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page. But also, you can find us on Blue Sky at Comic Book Chronicles, by the way. You can also find us recording every Thursday night, 9:30/10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, youtube.com/TheKliqNation, and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts. Hit that notification button because that will help people find our show. You know, hit all of the likes and subscribes, folks. Smash that like button.
Yeah, all that. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles.
Hold on. Sorry for that, folks. I just wanted to add very quickly. Where was I wish I had a sound effect for. I guess this is the best that we've got. Because the way Roddykat did it, it made it sound like we were hitting the brakes, and we kind of were. I just wanted to throw out a link out there for people to support the family of William Bruce West. It is on GoFundMe, so just remember you can search GoFundMe.com and support for the West family, William Bruce West. They're going to be in our hearts and in our thoughts and prayers and hearts for a while to come. So please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
No, we actually, yes, we will make sure we put that link in the clickbait section of this week's show notes so people can check that out, and we'll make sure to highlight it also. So yes, but that being said, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
One.
And knowing is half the battle.